Hi again, everybody. I'm Jamie Allison, and this is the Big Idea, Big Moves podcast. This is the destination for high performers. We talk to people from different genres, different niches, just people doing really cool things in their space. And we have one of those today. We have an athlete we're going to talk to, but the interesting thing is it also touches a lot of other parts of our audience, which is entrepreneurs and people kind of building businesses, just doing things that that really impact others. And so really happy to be able to align that with one of the other things that one of the other supporters of our show as well is Epitome Sportswear, and they align really nicely with us as well, because they talk about living life fully. So not just your heavy kind of elite performance athletes, but also those people who are just taking the time maybe to go see their child play soccer in the summer, maybe going for that nice hike, or just doing all of those kind of varied things. The other thing that really meshes well with us here at Big Idea, Big Moves is that they like to give back to the communities they serve. So they're working to impact the inequities and opportunity for girls and women in sports. So for that reason, a portion of their profits go directly to organizations and initiatives that support girls in sports. So really cool there. Just check out our Instagram bio. You can see a link through there, or just go directly to Epitome Sportswear. That's EPITOME sportswear.com and check them out. And so I'm really happy to be able to have Lauren with us today. Lauren Fisher is already a 7-time CrossFit Games veteran. She's 3 times with team, 4 individual. She started CrossFit when she was 14 back in 2008. And I think it was to improve her basketball game. So it was just kind of an offshoot thing she was doing, but we'll talk about that. And by 2012, she was already finishing 12th in regionals. And since then, she's helped Team CrossFit Invictus take 3rd at the 2019 CrossFit Games, taken 9th and 25th as an individual herself in 2 different games. She's also known for her weightlifting prowess. She won the 2014 USA Weightlifting Junior National Championship in her class. And aside from all of that stuff, which we'll get to go into a little bit today too, is she's an entrepreneur. She has her own brand and online fitness program, Grown Strong, where she helps women around the world become stronger now too, which is really cool. And I know that you are very heavy into training right now, Lauren. So first of all, before anything else, I want to thank you for taking the time to be able to spend with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. You nailed that bio. I don't think I need to say any more.
Well, there's so much, and you're so young to have done all this cool stuff. So I know there's lots more we can talk about. Why don't we start, before we even go into how you got into CrossFit and all that fun stuff? You have had a lot of change in the last little while, because you're with a new team, kind of this big new team of cool, recognizable people and everything. But how's that transition been? Because you're also training in another country and stuff like that the last little while. What's that been like for you?
So it's been awesome training here in Iceland. So I got asked to be on a team this year for the CrossFit Games with Annie Thorisdottir in November, like 2 months before like the team cut off to move. And she was like, "You need to move to Iceland though." And I was just like, "Hey, this is kind of a serious question. Like I need to think this through. Like there's so many logistics and things that will go into this." But it was just like a crazy opportunity. I mean, how often will you get the opportunity, first off, to like move to another country and live there for pretty much the whole year? Second, how often do you get to go train with someone like Annie, who's been like one of the most well-known names in the sport of CrossFit? And then on top of that, like to try and put together a team to win the CrossFit Games, it would be crazy for me to say no. So I'm like super excited to be here. It's definitely been like a transition with the weather, because I'm used to living in San Diego, California. And so having to like shovel the snow and like get the ice off my windshield like during the winter, and then it being like really dark here, that was like a whole different level. But slowly I've adjusted, and I think the training environment has just been so awesome here with Annie, Tola, Khan. We even have Katrin Davidsdottir training with us, Bjorkoven, and then like Yami in the training plan. Like it's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even just having that level, those level of individuals around you, I'm sure kind of pushes you to a whole different level when you're doing the training itself, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely like training with Annie and Kat. They push you to a whole nother level. I mean, Monday we had like a workout that looked like near impossible on paper, and all of us were just like, before the workout, we were all super nervous. But of course, everyone just goes into it like, okay, we're doing this. And then like we were right in the middle of it. And like I had a mental breakdown in the middle of it. I was like about to start crying in the middle of this workout. And Annie and Kat were like, Annie was like, no, Lauren, you are not doing this right now. And Kat was like, come on, Lauren, you got this. And like to have those two like pushing me daily has definitely just brought me to a whole nother level, and has brought like this new potential out of me that I've been in the sport for a long time, but I still feel like to this day I'm still learning. And then also to train with those two, it just pushes you to a whole different level.
Well, and Annie has been, I mean, we've had Annie on the show as well, and this was, not long after she had given birth, and it's just what she's done even since then. I mean, it's truly inspiring for women, I think. I mean, generally, but also for women to see kind of what she's done and been able to not just get back to, but again, be kind of top of her game after, everything she went through with her, with the birth of her child as well, which is pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, taking third place at the CrossFit Games literally after giving birth to a child is pretty insane to me. And I'm just like, she is so inspiring. And it's so awesome that she's also my teammate, because I just feel like we just go into these like deep, dark places in workouts I feel like I probably wouldn't go to if Annie wasn't right next to me, like pushing me. So it's been fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, so to get back to you a little bit, because I mean, obviously you mentioned you have done a lot of things in CrossFit, but why don't you talk to us a little bit, because you started it early, but it was also because you were pretty athletic, I think, all along. So how did CrossFit become something that you wanted to delve into? But do you have you still done a lot of other things, or have you been very specific to CrossFit for that time? How has that worked for you?
I've been super athletic, or I've been into sports my whole life. I wouldn't say athletic. I've been into sports my whole life. I grew up with three older brothers. So, I mean, it was kind of natural to me playing sports and also going to my brothers' like baseball and basketball practices. Like I was that one girl who was like playing with all the boys my whole life. So it came pretty natural to me with sports. And it also made me really competitive growing up with three older brothers, because they would never let me win. And it just like bothered me because I always wanted to beat them too. So we were just like so competitive, whether it was like Monopoly or Marco Polo, whatever it was, we were so competitive. And it was actually my two brothers, Ryan and Garrett, who ended up meeting this trainer who was into CrossFit, Vince Carter. He ended up bringing them out to his CrossFit gym. And then my brothers were like, hey, we're going to this CrossFit facility to do like this CrossFit style workout. And I was like, okay, I wanted to go. And so I went like that one day with them and immediately got hooked. I loved the idea that it was like you against you, like you against the clock, like you're trying to push yourself, like in these workouts, trying to lift stronger, go faster. Like it was just so much fun for me. And obviously having that competitive nature within sports, like I love that outlet. And so I started doing CrossFit after my basketball practices. So I would go to high school and then I'd have my basketball practice from like 3 to 5. And I was playing for one of like the top, we were back-to-back state champions in basketball. And we were ranked like top 10 in the US. So our basketball practices were pretty hardcore, but it definitely pushed me. And then after basketball, I would go an hour to CrossFit because I really liked it. And I ended up competing then in my first regionals in 2012. And that kind of lit the fire in me like, hey, I think I want to do this more. And then from there, I moved to San Diego State after high school, and then started training at Invictus. And then I think my career kind of just took off from there.
Yeah. And did you find when you combined the two of them, when you were doing basketball, like was that difficult, I guess, because you would have been doing intense elite practices and then pretty intense, any CrossFit workout is an intense workout. Was it difficult to do those two together, or did you find that one kind of helped the other, or how did that work for you?
So my freshman and sophomore year, I did it as my off-season training. So I didn't start doing CrossFit after basketball until it was my junior year, when both my coaches, Gabe and Vince, were like, hey, Lauren, we think like you have the potential to go to the CrossFit Games. And that's when I was like okay, I think I need to start training like a little bit more and not just doing this in my off season.
Yeah.
And so that's when it started to pick up my junior year. And then during the summer, I got to train with like the coaches during like the 10 o'clock session, which was kind of a big deal. And so that's how my summer was, just like doing CrossFit. So, I mean, combining CrossFit and basketball, I think both of it has like really played hand in hand. I think I'm really explosive because I grew up playing basketball. We did a lot of like agility work, we did box jumps, and I think that really carries over to being explosive in Olympic weightlifting. So it was definitely hard at times when I started doing both, but I was just like, I loved training, and for me, it was fun. So I never really saw it as like something I would like dread going to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and now, I mean, well, probably now isn't the best example because you're very heavy into training, but when you you talk about, I know, even on, I think on your website you talk about how you like, you like to make sure that you have good green smoothies and all this stuff. So how do you kind of balance things, maybe especially in an off-season time period, maybe where it's not as intense, but how do you make sure that you can kind of balance your nutrition, balance, having a life? You're still a young person. How do you kind of mesh all of those things together as much as you can?
I think it's years of experience. First off, just kind of learning what works and what doesn't work. I've definitely have had those periods in my life where I've gone too crazy into CrossFit, and then I've like ended up injuring myself. Like back in 2014, I was coming fresh off of ninth fittest woman on earth, and I was like, wow, this next year, like I want a podium. And like I took no break after the CrossFit Games, and I was so strict with my nutrition and just so strict with everything. And that ended up being like my worst year because I didn't even qualify to the CrossFit Games. I actually sprained my ankle right before regionals, but
Yeah.
it just shows that sometimes more is not always better. And I've learned that in order to, if I want to do this for a long time, I need to have balance. And that's where I've learned like, hey, when it's the off season, it's okay. After the CrossFit Games, I'm going to take 3 weeks completely away from the gym. Like I'm just going to hike, go surfing, do like fun things with my family, but not go in and do like a CrossFit workout. So I take like 3 weeks completely off. And then in the off season, it's okay to like enjoy, like, I don't know, enjoy dessert during the weekdays, or like enjoy like Mexican food or whatever it is. Like I don't like follow my macro diet, like my nutrition
Hmm.
strictly during the off season. Then as like January comes around, the season is starting to come. I know like, hey, I need to start dialing things in. And every month I feel like I get a little bit more strict depending where we're at in the season. Like right now it's April and I'm going to be competing potentially May or June in semifinals. So I can
Yeah.
already tell now, like, I'm like, okay, Lauren, it's time to get more serious. Like, let's dial in my nutrition. Let's make sure I'm getting enough sleep. Let's make sure I'm focusing on my breathing, my stretching. And so it just really depends where we're at in the season when I start to like keep kind of cutting things out as the season goes on.
Now, one of the things that I find interesting is that you've also kind of done some entrepreneurial stuff as well, and obviously it's related. But you have your own kind of fitness program brand, and are building that, which I know we'll talk some about that. But when you're conveying to somebody else, I mean, it's one thing for yourself to be able to go through and figure out those ups and downs and what you do at different times. How do you find, how do you do that for people that, are at various kind of levels, and, how do you find yourself that you connect with those individuals and make sure that you're doing the right thing with them?
Yeah, I'm super passionate about helping other women get stronger. And just because I feel like it's come so natural to me with like the journey I've gone through,
Yeah.
and also understanding like, hey, as women, it's really hard. We're still going through this like body image, like where we struggle with our body image, feeling too muscular or feeling like we don't fit in. And for me in high school, I got made fun of for doing CrossFit. The guy
Mhm.
said I was too bulky, too muscular, and it could have been easy to fall into the comparison game and let them affect me. But I was like, hey, I'm super passionate about CrossFit and I'm going to keep following my dreams and not listen to them. And it kind of sparked this inside of me that I also wanted to help other women who are also going through that as well in their own journey. And that's where Grown Strong kind of came about. It came from my own journey. And now I want to help women, whether you're dealing with anxiety or you're dealing with an eating disorder, or maybe you're a military woman getting deployed. Like, there's so many areas in life that we're all struggling with. And I feel like Grown Strong, my online fitness community, can really help women kind of bring that positive atmosphere and uplift each other and help each other see each that like strength inside of them. So yeah, I'm just like super passionate about it. And yeah, it's an amazing community.
Well, and the community part seems really, really. I think it's one of the most important parts of it, because I asked a very similar question to Brooke Entz, and she said that being in that community, she had the same thing where she said when she was younger, people made fun of her. People said that she was too big and had a muscular frame and things like that. And I asked Annie, and Annie said it was very different in Iceland, actually. She said, no, you know what? I didn't notice it until I started traveling other places, because here it seemed okay. Nobody really questioned it. But when I went other places, people did. So that you see the cultural impact. But I think everybody who said it is a lot of it is that community of women to be able to discuss some of those things in a safe environment. And you being able to provide that, I think is pretty cool, considering you have the experience yourself and being able to talk about it in a way where people might not think that you would have had that experience, considering the type of athlete you are today.
Yeah, I think that's one amazing place about like the Grown Strong community, is that we're not only celebrating like your PRs inside of the gym, but it's also like helping each other through the struggles outside of the gym, and having that vulnerable place where you can like share anything and not feel judged, and rather like lift someone else up. And I think that's what's so awesome about it. And I just like love going inside of there daily, because like no matter where you are in the world, there's always someone being like, hey girl, you did amazing, like you crushed that workout. Or hey, I'm going through that also in my life right now, like with my kids, it's been a struggle. Like they're all helping each other, and it's just like pretty cool to have that special community like that.
Well, and how do you, because you'll have to do this with helping individuals do it, but I'm sure you do it yourself, is how do you set goals for yourself? Because I'm sure from a CrossFit perspective, you have very specific things that you want to be able to do, but it's also there's lots of things, you probably have ones for your business, ones for other things in life. How do you approach goal setting? Like, are you a write down everything kind of person, or are you kind of go with the flow a little bit? How does that work with Lauren?
I've gone through stages in my life where I'm like, all right, I need to write down everything. I'm going to write down all of my goals that I want to achieve with my lifting. What do I want to achieve this year? And then, like around New Year's, we all have that, like, here's my New Year's resolution. Here's my goals and everything I want to achieve. And for me, this usually happens around August after my CrossFit Games season. I'm like, okay, what do I want to achieve this next year? And then within Grown Strong, within our business, we do set like annually goals. But you can't just set big goals and think they're going to happen. Like there has to be small actionable steps towards those big goals. So I like to call it, within the Grown Strong community, we're 1% better every single day. So if you can be 1% better daily, you're going to be 365% better by the end of the year. And so you need to like work towards those small goals. And then if you can work towards those small goals every day, you're going to end up reaching that big goal. So it's like, what is my big goal? And then writing down like the small goals. How am I actually going to get there? That's how I would approach my goal setting. But usually I'm like more right now, I think more go with the flow and less writing it down.
Yeah. It does change, I guess, depending on what stage you're going through and how much success you've already had, which is kind of cool too. So, everybody that gets to the kind of the stage you've had have probably had people that have influenced them. Do you have role models you look to? Do you have people who've really influenced your career so far?
I think my family has influenced my career in such a big way. I mean, my parents have definitely influenced me so much. My dad is like one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. And I think he just ingrained this into me, like, Lauren, you can be anything you set your eyes to, but you also need to be the hardest worker in the room. And so I just know to never like get complacent with where I'm at. Like I always need to be working like harder because I want to achieve these goals. Like I never just want to settle. And I always want to be like the best possible, whether it's best possible athlete, best possible business owner. Like I'm always trying to work towards achieving that. And I think that's just ingrained from my dad. And then my mom is also like one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. And I think that just like carries over into the person I am today. Like she always reminds me to like stay humble and like stay true to like who I am, like as the person I grew up to be. And so I think my parents definitely helped that. And so they're like my role models. And then also to my brothers as well.
Well, and I think anybody who either talks about you and all those things, you know, that the stuff that always comes up is that you're very authentic, and you know who you're speaking to is kind of who Lauren is if you were to speak to them day to day. Is that, do you think that's true? Like, is it, you know, I think most people say that about you. Do you feel that that's what you would want people to be able to say?
I would 100% want that to be what people say about me. I think that's one thing I try to stay true to on my Instagram is I always tell all my followers like, hey, I'm here to be authentic and real, and I want to keep things honest and not just portray what you want to see on social media, because it's so easy to like Photoshop images or like make things look so perfect. But I'm here to like show like, hey, it's not as perfect as you seem to think it's going to be. Like I miss lifts. I mentally break down in workouts. Like I go through struggles in my own life, and I want to share that on my social media and just in my real life. So yeah, I'm always trying to stay true and stay authentic.
Now, you mentioned how when you were younger, you know, the perception of women in CrossFit and things like that, it was difficult, I'm sure, especially if you're in high school and that age group. Have you found that, has that changed, I think? And, you know, it's not that long ago, but it's long enough ago. Have you seen change in the perception of kind of strong female role models and strong females? Has that changed since that time?
I definitely think it has changed so much from, I mean, I was in high school 2012, so 10 years ago, and it has changed so much. Like it's really cool to see how many women in this world are looking to like get stronger and put on some muscle and like lift heavier weights. Like it's really cool to see that change. I think I just saw like a video on Instagram the other day. I was like, this guy saying like, when did all of these like women decide to like start lifting weights and get muscular? And it's kind of true, because it's like the normal, it's like the new norm now. Like you see like women just want to like show up in their workout outfits and they love going to the gym. And I love that everyone's trying to like lead a healthier life, because I think that just in turn creates a better place for this world.
Yeah, yeah. No, it definitely, it's great to see that that's changing. You know, one thing that I do wonder is, you know, you're with a brand new team. You're all trying to, I think, figure out your different styles. You all have very different personalities from what I would assume. So, you know, I think you were talking about a workout earlier in the week, and I know that you'd see that, I think it was Con posted that it was the first time he'd ever thrown up during a workout and things like that. So you all have different personalities. As a team, how do you connect to make sure that you have a really tight team? Like, how's that worked, you know, with that group, but even just generally for you, you know, it is, you've been in teams before. How do you mesh different personalities like that together?
I think when you're all working towards the same goal, it's pretty easy to kind of mesh personalities and make things work. I think we're all decided like, hey, we are here to work towards one goal together. And so that's how you can make it work. I mean, not everyone has the same personality in this world. So, I mean, you would never really want, though, on a team, it would be really hard to have like four domineering personalities on a team together. But I think what makes our team really work is like everyone's here to like work hard, but we also like to have fun. And I think Khan is really great because he like brings that fun energy to the team. He now pretends to be like the serious one on Instagram, and he's being sarcastic because he's not the serious one.
Yeah.
And then Tola has like so much team experience, and he's just like, hey guys, like he after a workout, like he always has like feedback on how we can get better. And so it's so awesome to have someone like that on the team. And then also, I mean, Annie's Annie. She'll be honest with you. If you're going slow in a workout, she'll tell you. So I love that about her. But we're actually, Annie and I have pretty similar personalities. Like we're both pretty laid back, don't like any drama. And I think the whole team, yeah, we're just here to work hard and have fun.
Yeah. And so for people kind of listening, I guess, you know, you're past your first couple of stages. How what are you hoping to be able to do as a team? I mean, obviously you want to get to the games and be able to do that, but are there very specific goals you guys have, or how is that kind of set up for your team?
I told Annie I didn't want to move to Iceland and take second place at the CrossFit Games. So our goal is
Well,
to
then
win the
it's done.
CrossFit Games and to beat Mayhem this year.
Yeah. That's the other thing. We've had we recently had Sam Cornway on the show, and yeah, he would say the opposite. So he would want to make sure that that they're up there too. So it's
Yeah.
great to see these pretty awesome teams this year, which will make for a really interesting thing happening. So that's great. You know, one of the things that we ask everybody is to try to have something that you know, is pretty actionable, and I think lots of people are taking some great stuff away from our conversation today. But one thing that I think you know, a lot of people, if they're hesitating, they're maybe not at that kind of high level elite CrossFit style thing, but maybe they're hesitating to jump into a, whether it's a CrossFit gym or doing something online. They just know they need to make a change, and maybe want to push something forward. Do you have a couple of tips as to how to get themselves comfortable, and maybe ways to be able to kind of get themselves kind of moving in the right direction that way?
I think you just have to go for it. I mean, in order to get comfortable, you have to go through the uncomfortable. And so a lot of people are nervous to try new things. And I think like the only way you can find out if it's going to work for you is to give it a shot. And don't just be like, I'm going to try out this new fitness program or try this gym for like a week or 2 weeks. Like, give it an honest 2 months, like before you actually like want to see results, because nothing is going to happen overnight. Like you need to like dedicate yourself and stick with it. And then if you tell me after 2 months it's not working, then it's definitely not the right thing for you. But I think, yeah, after 2 months, you should definitely start to see results. And I think that's one thing too with my Grown Strong community, is you're going to see results after 2 months. I mean, there's some amazing things happening inside of the group, and it's pretty awesome. So if you are a woman who is looking to get stronger, more confident, if you're just like looking to find some motivation again, I would 100% recommend to follow Grown Strong and, yeah, follow my program.
And Lauren, is that you know, when you're seeing that, because you see people that are being impacted by that program now, and things that, you know, you've developed, you know, is that, how inspiring is that for you, knowing you had a hand in helping those people get past those 2 months, but also all the things that changed for them in that amount of time? How inspiring is that for you to be able to impact people that way?
It means so much to me. Like it just like makes me smile so big when I like read some of the success stories that we've had, and to see these women, like maybe someone, we've had one of the ladies in our group, she like went through a divorce and gained a bunch of weight, just kind of lost herself, and then she joined Grown Strong, and after a year she's like feeling the best she's ever felt. She's looking the best she's ever felt. Like she feels like her old self. And she truly has thanked Grown Strong for helping like her find her like inner self again. And seeing stuff like that, I'm like, just seeing that I'm making a difference in not just one person's life, but so many, like means so much to me.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I mean, congratulations for doing that, because I mean, you know, there are lots of people that talk about those things, but to be able to do that and develop something that you know, people can tap into and use is great. And I think your story tells a lot of that as well. And the nice thing that they can see what you're doing, be inspired by what you're doing, but at the same time know that they're very connected, and you know, you're able to share kind of the same kind of feelings and you know, progress or days where it's tough, the same way as you know, that you're the same as everybody else when they're going through that as well. So congratulations for that. If people are looking to follow you, or maybe kind of jump into you know, finding more about Grown Strong, what are the best ways of doing that, Lauren?
You can follow me on Instagram at Lauren Fisher. You can also follow Grown Strong at Grown Strong. And then we are going to be linking a 10-day free trial for my Grown Strong fitness program down below. So make sure to check that out. I'm actually super excited though, because we are finally launching our app. So in about like 2 weeks or so, and that will be in the App Store. And we've been working on this for over a year. So I'm like very excited for that to come to life and to finally get that in the hands of our community and even more women.
Great. Well, what we'll do is we'll make sure that we reference all of those things in the show notes, and we'll make sure that we have a link through so you can check out Grown Strong and hopefully be able to take advantage of maybe kind of a bit of a test for them as well. And once the app comes out, we'll make sure that that's nice and visible for people as well. So again, another thing is, if you haven't hit subscribe on the podcast, do that right now, because we every week have great people like Lauren on the show. So make sure that you do that and share it with your friends, because we have some really inspiring people, and today has been one of those days. So thank you, Lauren, so much, because I think a lot of people are going to love the content today, but also knowing a little more about you. I mean, you do come across as a really kind of personable, easy person to talk to. So an interview is nice and easy to be able to have with Lauren. So thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for having me on the podcast.
All right. And good luck with everything coming up, not just the business, but everything we'll all be watching, I'm sure, over the next little while to see how things go towards the CrossFit Games. So we'll,
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And everybody else, we'll talk again soon on Big Idea, Big Moves.